up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're talking about Jayron Kearse, the Detroit Lions offseason signing. So let's get it started. Welcome in, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, we're talking about Jayron Kearse, the former Minnesota Viking and former Clemson Tiger. Now, Jayron Kearse is a guy that has definitely went under the radar for a lot of Lions fans. A lot of Lions fans forgot that we even signed this guy. It's easy to forget, right? It was a pretty cheap contract. It was 1 year, like $2.75 million. Easy to forget Jayron Kearse. A lot of people look at him as just a special teams player. Some people don't think he's even going to make the team. Other people have very, very high hopes, and they think he could be our third safety, not even Will Harris next season. Shout out to you, Shane, for actually saying that. Shane's really big on Jayron Kearse. Okay, Shane's actually been on the show before, if you don't know who that is. He's just a subscriber, but he's been on one of our shows before, man, and he's really high on Jayron Kearse. He's also in the Discord, so join the Discord, all right? If you want the link, put in the comments, hey, can I get the link? I'll send you the link, and then boom, you can hop right in. But anyways, he's very high on Jayron Kearse. He sees a lot of potential here. So today, I went back and watched Jayron Kearse. I watched some film. See, we've done videos on Kearse, but we haven't done, like, film videos on Jayron Kearse, right? We've talked about him. We've looked at the stats, the size, the athletic ability, and we're like, oh, man, this guy could be great. He's like Isaiah Simmons, just the off-brand version. But I haven't really watched him, right? I haven't really watched that film until today, and I was pretty shocked to see the results, right? So if you guys have seen Jayron Kearse, if you guys haven't watched him, I really would say, hey, go watch him. But today I'm going to show you some clips anyway, so it's not too much of a big deal. But if you have seen him, then you probably know what I'm talking about when I say I'm a little bit shocked to see how Minnesota utilized him. And if you have not seen him and you want to go watch more, definitely go do it. But today I'm going to show you some clips anyways. Jayron Kearse can be used in a lot of different ways for this Matt Patricia defense, and he could actually be pretty darn impactful. See, I don't know if he's going to make the team or not, but I do know that there could be a really big role for him, and he could actually be like the X factor defensively for the Detroit Lions because of the ability that he has that not a lot of other players on defense actually have. See, this offseason, the Detroit Lions brought in Bobby Price, and everybody got excited over that move. The undrafted free agent signing Bobby Price from a small school in Norfolk State. This really big guy that's listed as a safety. That's exciting. Everybody thinks of Isaiah Simmons. Okay, so many people wanted Isaiah Simmons in this year's draft, and that was the hype around Jayron Kearse, right? The size, like, oh man, I love that. But I wanted to go back and watch Jayron Kearse to see how the Minnesota Vikings utilized him because he's not the biggest guy, right? He's not just the linebacker. He's 205 pounds. So I'm like, okay, how do the Vikings use this guy? I know he wasn't, a full-time starter for them, but they had to use him some way. So what is he going to do for the Detroit Lions? Because if I'm going to do videos on Will Harris, Kevin Strong, I got to know what Jayron Kearse's role might be with the Detroit Lions, what he's good at, what he's not so good at. So today we're going to be breaking that down. Let's go. Before we get into the strengths and weaknesses, I just want to give a quick little overview of Jayron Kearse. He was a 7th-round pick back in 2016 out of Clemson. He is a 6'4", 205-pound safety. They ran a 4.62 40-yard dash. The athletic ability is there. The size is there. That's why everybody's really excited. Last season, he put up actually some really, really good numbers, playing in 15 games. Didn't start all of those games. Just started like a few of them, I think. Played in 15 games, though. 6 passes defended, 28 total tackles, 57.1% completion percentage allowed, and only a 51.7 passer rating allowed with an interception. That sounds pretty good to me. So let's hop into it. Let's talk about Jayron Kearse. The first thing I took away as a strength, and really the thing that surprised me the most, is how they utilize him as a corner/linebacker. Look, he's listed as a safety, and I know safeties come down in blitzes and they'll man-to-man against wide receivers. Sometimes even they don't blitz, they have a man-to-man responsibilities. But a guy like Jayron Kearse is specifically used basically as an outside linebacker/cornerback. Like, you guys know when Isaiah Simmons is always in the box, like Jayron Kearse, we've looked at it, the stats, he's always in the box. He's a box type of safety. But when you watched Isaiah Simmons in college, this dude would cover slot wide receivers. He would take away crossing routes. He would cover the running back out of the backfield, the tight ends. And that's something that Lions fans look at and say, man, we've had a problem with this for so long. If we get Isaiah Simmons, we won't have that problem anymore because that can be his job. And while that is true, Jayron Kearse can also do the same thing for the Detroit Lions. Like, I'm serious. I know it's crazy, but he actually can. That is his main role with the Minnesota Vikings. So the Minnesota Vikings don't run the same defense we do. They usually run more of a 4-3. However, he is utilized in a similar role, which I can see him be utilized with the Detroit Lions. When they go to a nickel formation, whether it's expecting the pass or they're just in a nickel formation in general, he is a lot of times on the field. And in those nickel formations, they'll put him basically as an outside type of linebacker where he will cover tight ends, running backs, wide receivers. This guy will line up against any wide receiver and play man-to-man or drop in his zone, but he'll play man-to-man against Julio. He'll play man-to-man against Devontae Adams. They don't care. They will put that responsibility if that wide receiver's in the slot. Now, they usually don't put him out there on the outside against like a top cornerback to say play man-to-man, because that's not his job. That's not who he is. But if he drops it to the slot man, he'll cover him. He'll take that responsibility on. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, right? He's not the best coverage corner because he's not a corner, but that's the job that he will take on. And what I love about it is his height is 6'4", right? So when we need a guy to help against tight ends and take those guys away, we know Isaiah Simmons was famous for saying that, like, someone's got to stop these guys, that's going to be me or whatever. Well, Jayron Kearse, what I'm looking at is a lot of guys have problems covering tight ends, not because they can't keep up, it's because they're too small. Tight ends are usually like 6'6", and you can't cover the dude because they just throw it up and they can't get up there and knock it away unless you time it like perfectly. But Jayron Kearse is 6'4", so that won't be a problem for him to keep up with tight ends, and it's not a problem for him. That's how the Minnesota Vikings utilize him. And when I'm thinking about what the Lions do defensively when they play their nickel formations, right? Lions play the nickel more than any formation defensively. They play a lot of man-to-man. And when I'm looking at this, I'm saying, well, this is when we're going to utilize him. When we come out the nickel, he could be our third safety. We play a lot of 3 safety sets. He could be the third safety at time. One big problem, one big concern with a lot of Lions fans this offseason, I know it's the pass rush, but another one is the linebacker position and saying, which one of our linebackers can cover anybody, right? Because that's, again, a problem. We can't cover running backs. We can't cover tight ends. It's been a problem for a long time. We can't cover wide receivers. They can't cover slots. They get burnt. We've seen Jarrad Davis get burnt by Elliott, which cost us a game. That's a big concern for a lot of Lions fans. They're saying, okay, you brought in Reggie Ragland, Elijah Lee, but where's the guy to help us cover these guys? We know Jarrad Davis doesn't do that well. Jelani Tavai, I guess he's solid at it, but that's not like, they're not putting him in tough positions out there to cover guys. So who is that guy? Well, we brought in Jimmy Collins, who, yes, is probably our best coverage linebacker, but Jayron Kearse can be that guy that we utilize when we go to a nickel formation in 3 safety sets, and he can be the guy that we put out there as an outside linebacker, and he'll be the guy to cover tight ends, running backs, slot wide receivers, whoever we need him to. That way we don't have to get a linebacker in that situation. There's a mismatch. That's where Jayron Kearse will be utilized. And while he's not the best guy at coverage, he's fine. And he's not a complete liability against the run either. So you don't want him trying to stuff the middle. If you put him in the inside and you're like, hey, stuff that middle, go take that run back out, he's not doing that. He doesn't shed blocks that well. He doesn't shed a lot of blocks down the field. Even wide receivers, he doesn't shed blocks that well. But what he does do well is he has that speed and athleticism of a safety, so he can fly across the field. And with that lateral quickness, that speed across the field, he is really good at setting the edge. He's really good at getting out there and forcing running back inside, something that at times you see linebackers struggle with. We've seen times where the Lions will have a problem where a running back will get out to the outside and the linebackers can't force him back inside because they're too slow. Well, you get a guy like Jayron Kearse in there, he cuts him off immediately, gets way across, cuts him off, forces him back to the inside. So Kearse isn't a liability when you put him on the outside because he can tackle well enough. He's a good tackler, just doesn't have that big size, right? He's only 205 pounds. All of our linebackers are 250 plus, some 260 plus. So he doesn't have that big size to stuff the middle, but we have all those run stuff for interior linebackers for that reason. Meanwhile, you have Jayron Kearse who can come in, help set the edge, right? Help push things back in, not be a liability. And then when a team passes, he can man-to-man. Because since we play the most man-to-man defensive coverage in the NFL, you need a guy like this. We need a guy like this. And I think that's why a lot of people wanted Simmons. But if Jayron Kearse can step into that role for $2 million, yes, I know it's so concerning. He's also 26 years old. And it'd be like, okay, well, hold up. We might have made a really good move here. So that shocked me right off the bat. Running backs, tight ends, slot wide receivers, he can do it all. That's great. He has the athletic ability of a safety. He is a safety. He's listed as safety for a reason. He could drop to that spot. I mean, that's kind of where he is known. That's kind of what he's known for. But he still has that athletic ability to come down, right? 4'6", 240, not that bad. Not that bad. Oh, not the fastest, but not that bad. So he does have enough athletic ability to, play like a safety, but from different positions, which is great. That's just great. It's just a nice little advantage. And he's just kind of like a little X factor, just a different type of player out there, like a wild card that you would throw onto the field that can, really mess with an offense. He plays in the box a ton. We've looked at the numbers for that. He plays like a linebacker, so that's cool. He also plays on kick return coverage. I'm sure punt return coverage as well, but I've seen a couple of kick returns where he just flies down there and makes some plays, but I don't know. That's just a little bit of his versatility, I guess, showing off that even if he's not on defense, he can help you in special teams as well, and you can never really have too many of those guys. Like I said, his deal is pretty cheap. That was a little concerning, but hey, it's a prove-it deal. Prove it, right? Jayron Kearse shows us what he can do, and if you ball out, we'll bring you back. We think this is a good situation for you to play well. There's a reason they signed him, so let's go see what you can do. And he has the competition now, right? He has competition with Bobby Price, okay, with Jeremiah Dinson. They have competition there to push him and make sure that he doesn't slack, to make sure he balls out. He has the speed to get to the edge, and I just grade it. I love it. I love it. I love the way that you can utilize him in the nickel formation. Talking about some of the weaknesses I took away, pass rushing. This guy, when he tries to pass rush, kind of goes back to the block shedding. Doesn't shed blocks that well. Usually not going to get past an offensive lineman. Once they get their hands on him, it's pretty much over. But, obviously he does have that speed where if you cross blitz a couple things, maybe he can get inside. We've seen that done a few times. You blitz him from the outside, maybe he can get around an offensive tackle. But you get him in the inside, this dude's pretty much going to get locked up. Once he gets hit by an offensive lineman, he's pretty much out of the play, so it's not very useful. Maybe he can open up someone else and just kind of be a decoy, I guess I would say, but he's not going to shed blocks that well. Good wide receivers can block him down the field, but he does enough. He does enough, and he has that good tackling ability. He doesn't miss tons of tackles, so he's usually pretty reliable in that way. And, Matt Patricia's all about the fundamentals, man. If this dude couldn't tackle, he definitely wouldn't have brought him in, so we know that for sure. But he's not a cornerback. You don't put him out there. You're not putting him out there and say, hey, go be Darius Slay, or not Darius Slay. Just go be a starting corner for us. That's not what he's doing, right? He can mix. He'll play slot a little bit here. He'll play those different roles. But you're not putting him on the outside and say, match up with this guy. I mean, that is literally last case scenario. Like, that's the last resort, is you saying man-to-man against a wide receiver all game. That's not what he wanted to do. But in certain situations, he can do it. He does have ability to do it. And like I said, his stats are pretty darn good. So for me, I'm watching Kearse. I'm excited. I think Kearse does have some potential. And I don't know if he's going to make the team or not, right? He's still got a lot of competition. He wasn't on a super huge contract. So, the Lions have some leverage here. And I don't know how much playing time he's going to get. He's had some inconsistent playing time with the Minnesota Vikings. He wasn't always a starter. But the potential is there, right? The talent is there. I see the skills on the field, and I see how this can translate to what Matt Patricia wants to do defensively. And he could be utilized as like an X factor in certain situations and be big for the Lions. And yes, I think Jayron Kearse does deserve some hype. So shout out to you guys that have been hyped about Jayron Kearse. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.